What's up everybody, this is Juliano Beats. In this video we're going to be deconstructing the beats behind Kendrick Lamar's Euphoria, his latest diss track against Drake in FL Studio. So as always, credit where it is due. This beat was made by several producers, especially because there are 3 beats. You got Cardo Got Wang's Kyuro, Sounwave, Johnny Juliano, Legend, Young Exclusive, Matthew MTech Bernard. This track was crazy, man. We'll be deconstructing all 3 of the beats in this video. And let's start with the first one. So it's only been 48 hours, but I think most of you know by now. First beat was a sample from Teddy Pendergrass, You're My Latest, My Greatest Inspiration. Super clever name for a song sample in this diss track, man. Super creative. Because it was sampled, we won't deconstruct it too much, but I will say they definitely added some violin strings in the background, as well as the push and P snare. So just for comparison,
manipulator and habitual lie.
Very similar, but I think they definitely added some reverb to the rim as well and just lowered the decay, which means that the reverb's not going to be like 5 seconds long. It's going to be a little bit shorter. All right, so sorry for not going too deep into the first one, but let's do the second one, man. This is my favorite, and I think this is why we're all here. All right, so again, this is just beat number 2. In order to orient yourself for this, you have your brass trumpets up here. You have a serum lead. You have some brass, some bells, some more synth leads, as well as some plucks in the background, and the rest of these are going to be your drums and a guitar or just a normal bass line. So for the main section, I chose to use Purity. I layered the JV section brass with the power brass and the trumpet preset. Next, you have this brass from Nexus. I just use classical Hollywood brass. And lastly, this could just be a normal bass line, but for this, it sounded more like a bass guitar bass line to me, so I chose this tag bass from a Dr. Dre drum kit. Everything together, and I'll transition to the next section. So as you heard, there is a bell coming in, using one standard trap bell, but I got this from a Metro Boomin drum kit, ironically. So next, there's this lead in the background. It's kind of hard to hear. For this, I just chose one from a one-shot Shark Boy drum kit called the Sign Lead. And layered that with a lead that sounds like kind of techno bell pluckish. Everything together, and I gotta let the 808 drop. So for your melodies, you have one more coming in. For this, I'm just using Serum, the SY Big Sleepy preset with a few tweaks. All right, let's move on to the drums. For this, I'm layering a clap and a TM88 snare together. Open hat coming in, I got one from a Metro Boomin drum kit. Standard 2-step hi-hat pattern. And my favorite part, the 808. So I don't think this is the exact one, but I found one that I think is similar, called the 808 La Uzi. I got it from a random drum kit, but it's definitely one of my favorite ones that I have. Probably overdid the distortion, but you know, I don't feel bad about it. One last section to cover. Here's a transition. For this last one, not sure the exact preset. It sounded like a lead or a flute, maybe even a theremin, but for this, just using Serum, the default preset, and changing the oscillators and a few other settings. Let's move on to the third beat. Here's a transition, and we'll get right into it. Cool, so to orient yourself for this one, you have these halftime strings, you have some synths, you have a deep grand piano, and the rest of these are going to be your drums. So at first I thought the melodies were going to be brass, but if you take a small snippet of the actual song and then you speed it up, it sounds more like strings. Sorry, I know that's annoying. Purity, going to the Arco Low Strings preset, you got these notes playing at double halftime. Next, it's kind of hard to hear, but you have these synths in the background or something very similar. Also, you have your main 808 pattern. For this, I'm using the Vibe 809 with Kick 808. Classic 808 has been around forever. Also, I'm not entirely sure about this, but when I posted the YouTube shorts breaking down this beat, somebody commented and said that, oh, it's not just 808s, there's also stomps in there as well. Kind of hard to hear, but I guess I can hear it. So we added some stomps. For this, we're just using FX Stomp Low, playing along with the 808. Credit to ATSR1RY. So if you agree, let me know. Moving on to the drums. So just like the second beat, we're using the exact same clap, the same snare, just a different pattern. You know, I have a cowbell coming in. For this, I just found this from a Mike Zara stash kit. I think it's the exact one. Pretty common cowbell. You can find this in most kits. Same Metro Boomin open hat, just a different pattern as well. For this, I am using a different hi-hat. You can tell the frequency's changed a little bit. For this, it's just the hi-hat closed 14 Lexi. Different pattern as well. Everything together. So I'm not sure if this is true, I could be speculating, but you have some deep piano keys coming in here in this section of the song. I don't think it's sampled, but it's very similar to Humble by Kendrick. Like, it sounds just like those piano keys in here. I don't know if that's like a subliminal sit down, be humble kind of thing he's trying to say in the background during this diss track, but I thought it was really clever. And the last thing to cover, you'll notice down here there are a few different 808 patterns. We won't go through all of them, but it does change up to this at some point. And this pattern has a few 808 rolls. And everything together. Alright guys, that does it for this Deconstructed. Sorry it went a little long, but we did have to break down almost 3 beats. Seriously though, let me know in the comments, did you like the beat for Push-Ups, Tailor-Made, or any of these 3 beats? I personally love the second Euphoria one, my favorite, because it reminds me of like a little Street Fighter video game, and it's just that 808's so hard, man. So if you like this, if you learned something, you know what to do. Until then, I guess I will catch you all in the next video.